I'm Velia Manyonga. I work for Parliament of Malawi as the head of research division. My role really as the research division is there to provide and generate evidence for the members of Parliament to use. For Parliament has got standing orders. The standing orders commands that every member of Parliament, whenever he or she is speaking in Parliament, should use evidence. So my department is entrusted with the responsibility of generating that evidence to the members of Parliament. So our work really is there. We are there to make sure that the members of Parliament are accessing the information. And then we are also there to synthesize the information. We deal with members of Parliament who are coming from a diverse background, educational background. Some could come from health backgrounds, but then they are supposed to make a decision maybe in agriculture, yet that's not their field. So as a research department, we are there to generate the information, to capacitate the members of Parliament, to make sure that whatever they are doing, they are basing it on evidence. They're basing it on evidence. Now, I've worked for Parliament for like 8 years. Through this period, we did not have like guidelines. So it came a point where we said we need to make sure that we've got guidelines which should be used by both members of Parliament and members of staff. These are the guidelines that supports members of Parliament to access the evidence, to apply the evidence. And the guidelines, they speak to 4 main different sections. The first section of the guidelines talks about where they can access the information, how they can access it. So we've got the whole chapter that is dedicating to the sources of information for Parliament. One thing I should share with you is sources of evidence in Parliament is different from sources of evidence in academic field. Because in academic field, you would want to research information. But in Parliament, our sources are very diverse. We can use newspapers. Newspapers can act as a source of evidence in Parliament. We can use journals. We can use online information. As long as you know that this is the evidence that is authentic and the members of Parliament can use. So we've got the first chapter that is dedicated to the sources of information and how members of Parliament can access those sources of information. The second chapter of the guidelines talks about how you can apply the information. You know, you can access a diverse range of information, but is every information authentic? So the chapter dedicates itself to explaining how a member should be able to say, yes, I've got this information, but this information I can use, or this information is not authentic. That's the second chapter. And then the third chapter now is on how you can synthesize the information. You've accessed the information, you've chosen to say, I will use A, B, C, D as my source of information. But now, how do you present that? So the third chapter is on synthesizing the information. And then the final chapter is on how to apply now this information in evidence-informed decision. How do you apply it? So that is all about the guidelines which we've developed. In Malawi, we were coming from a background where Malawi as a nation did not have a budget line for family planning that was funded by the local resources. So members of Parliament used evidence as to why Malawi government should start allocating resources to family planning, and why the family planning budget line should be, the resources should be increasing. They use evidence, and the statistics are used right from the guidelines, because they say they always ask the members of staff to say, can you please pull out the evidence as to why Malawi government should champion family planning? And when the evidence is provided to them, when they are in the house debating, they stand up with evidence to say, no, it's high time we need to increase the resources to family planning. For example, if we are not very careful, by 2030, the population of Malawi will be ABCD. Now it's high time that we need to start allocating resources. So with that evidence, members of Parliament in Malawi have successfully increased the resources to family planning. That's one example. Another example, we had a contentious issue in terms of marriage age. Our constitution, the marriage age was 15. But people say, no, it's high time we need to increase the marriage age from 15 to 18. And they had to have evidence as to why it was important to increase the marriage age from 15 to 18. Because literacy in Malawi is very low. So, you find a girl child is dropping out of school at the age of 10. Now the argument was, if this child will not be allowed to get married at the age of 15, what will this child be doing? So that was an argument. But then members of parliament said, but we need to have strategies to make sure that the girl child is in school. If Malawi is to achieve the demographic dividend, we need to make sure that the girl child is in school. We need to pump in more resources to education so that the girl child is getting educated. While doing that, the marriage age should be raised. No one should get married before the age of 18. Even if there is co-parents, even if parents consent to that, but no one should be allowed to get married at the age of 18. So they passed that bill. But that bill was not in tandem with what the Constitution of Malawi said, because the Constitution of Malawi was allowing 15 years, while the bill was saying 18 years. So members of parliament with evidence, they managed to do a constitutional amendment to amend that clause. So now at the moment, our clause marriage age is 18, but they did that using evidence.